Not every autumn trend is worth your money, your wardrobe space, or your time. Some of the pieces being pushed hardest right now are already on their way out. Some never quite arrived in the way they were supposed to, and some are going to look painfully dated by the time spring comes around. Today, I am telling you exactly which 6 pieces to skip this autumn, and exactly what to wear instead, so you never waste money on something that expires before the season even ends. Number 1. Overly embellished boots. The heavily embellished boot has been appearing everywhere this autumn. Studded, buckled, chained, hardware covered from ankle to knee, and while they photograph beautifully on editorial pages and on influencer content, they are one of the most impractical and most trend-dependent purchases you can make this season. The embellishment is the entire point of the boot, which means the moment this specific trend cycle moves on, the boot has nowhere left to go. It cannot be restyled. It cannot be toned down. It simply expires with the trend and sits unworn in your wardrobe. What to wear instead is a clean, sleek knee-high boot or a simple ankle boot in black, cognac, or tan, with zero embellishment and minimal hardware. These boots do exactly what a boot should do. They ground an outfit, they add polish, and they work across every style and every occasion without drawing attention to themselves. A boot that lasts 5 years always represents better value than a boot that lasts 1 season, regardless of the price difference between them. Number 2. Excessive layering with no intention. Layering is one of the defining aesthetics of autumn dressing, and done correctly, it is genuinely one of the most effective styling tools you have. But excessive layering with no clear intention behind it is one of the most common mistakes being pushed as a trend right now. 4 or 5 layers of competing textures, competing colors, and competing proportions piled onto one outfit in the name of looking styled. The result is not intentional. It is chaotic, and chaotic dressing, regardless of how expensive each individual piece is, always reads as trying too hard. What to wear instead is the 3-layer maximum rule. 1 base, 1 mid-layer, 1 outer layer. That is the complete formula, and it creates depth and dimension without tipping into visual chaos. A fitted tee as the base, a fine knit as the mid-layer, a structured coat as the outer layer. Each piece visible, each piece intentional, each piece adding something specific to the overall picture, rather than just adding volume for the sake of it. 3 intentional layers will always look more expensive than 5 chaotic ones. Number 3. Shearling everything. Shearling has been a recurring autumn trend for several seasons now, and in autumn 2026, it has reached the point of complete oversaturation. Shearling coats, shearling boots, shearling bags, shearling collars, shearling everything, stacked together in one outfit. When a trend reaches this level of saturation, it is already on its way out, and buying heavily into it now means buying at the peak of a trend cycle that is about to decline. Shearling pieces are also notoriously difficult to care for, and tend to look significantly worse after a season of regular wear, which compounds the issue considerably. What to wear instead? For that same cozy textural quality without the trend dependency is a quality wool or cashmere coat in a clean silhouette. A camel wool coat, a charcoal cashmere blend long line coat. These pieces give you warmth, give you texture, and give you the cozy autumn energy of shearling without locking you into a trend that is already at its ceiling. A wool coat bought this autumn will still look exactly right 5 autumns from now. A shearling everything moment will not. Number 4. Loud plaid and oversized check. The loud, oversized version of plaid that is appearing everywhere right now is the version worth skipping. Large-scale, brightly colored plaid in clashing tones. Oversized check that covers every surface of an outfit in an overwhelming pattern. This version of plaid is the trend interpretation that looks incredibly current for approximately 1 season and then becomes the piece that makes you look like you were wearing it in a specific year, rather than looking timelessly styled. What to wear instead is the refined, small-scale version of the same print family. A subtle Glen check in neutral tones, a fine houndstooth in black and cream, a small-scale plaid in deep, rich colors, rather than bright contrasting ones. These prints have been in elevated wardrobes across generations, and they continue to look relevant season after season because they were never loud enough to be specifically trend-dependent. One refined check piece, introduced into an otherwise clean, neutral outfit, is the Autumn 2026 approach worth taking. Number 5. Ultra-cropped everything. The ultra-cropped silhouette has been dominant for several seasons, and in Autumn 2026, it is finally showing clear signs of fatigue. Ultra-cropped blazers that sit above the waist, ultra-cropped knits that expose the midriff in autumn temperatures, ultra-cropped everything paired with low-rise bottoms in a combination that felt extremely current 2 years ago and is now beginning to feel like a very specific moment in time, rather than a timeless approach to dressing. Trends that expose skin in cold weather also have an inherent practicality problem that makes them difficult to commit to fully. What to wear instead is the longer, more elegant proportion that is defining Autumn 2026 at its most sophisticated. A blazer that hits at the hip rather than above the waist. A knit that sits at the natural waist or slightly below. Longer proportions that elongate the silhouette rather than interrupting it. The shift from cropped to longer is already happening in the most forward wardrobes, and getting ahead of it now means your autumn wardrobe feels current immediately, rather than feeling like it needs updating the moment the trend fully turns. Number 6. Logomania bags and accessories. Logo-covered bags and accessories are never a good investment, and in Autumn 2026, they are a particularly bad one. The Logomania trend that surged several years ago is definitively over in elevated fashion circles, and what has replaced it is the exact opposite. Clean, minimal accessories with zero visible branding that communicate quality through their construction, their shape, and their material, rather than through letters stamped across every surface. Buying a logo-covered bag now is buying at the end of a trend cycle that has already passed its peak in every market that matters. What to wear instead is a structured, minimal bag in a rich autumn neutral. Chocolate brown, deep cognac, classic black, burgundy beginning to appear, a bag with clean hardware, a shape that holds itself, and zero external branding. This bag does not need to be expensive. It needs to look intentional and well-made. A $30 structured bag with no logo will look more expensive and more current in Autumn 2026 than a $300 bag covered in monograms, because the direction of elevated fashion has moved decisively and permanently away from logomania and toward quiet quality. 6 pieces to skip this autumn, and a better alternative for every single one of them. Skipping these 6 things does not limit your autumn wardrobe. It protects it from purchases that will feel dated before the season even ends. Comment below which one you were closest to buying. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.